The night the truth surfaced, the bass from the jukebox thudded like a heartbeat about to give out, and the smell of oil, smoke, and old whiskey hung heavy in the Hell's Angel bar as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. For years, the place had been a sanctuary of noise and fury, a refuge for men who wore scars like medals and hid their tenderness under leather and steel. And in the middle of it all, unseen and uncelebrated, was a woman who cleaned their messes and memorized their moods, never knowing that one forgotten locker would stop a hardened man cold and bend the course of all their lives. If stories about kindness, second chances, and the unexpected ways people find redemption matter to you, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Her name was Emily Carter, and she had been the maid at the Hell's Angel bar for nearly 7 years. She arrived before the sun burned the fog off the asphalt and left long after the last engine growled into the night. She scrubbed dried blood from floors without asking how it got there, wiped down tables etched with the stories of men who never spoke about their pasts, and learned how to move quietly through anger without ever being the cause of it. Emily was small, with tired eyes that still carried a stubborn light, and she wore her humility like armor. She had learned early that survival sometimes meant being invisible, especially in places where invisibility was mistaken for safety. The bar was run by Marcus Hale, a Hell's Angel whose reputation stretched farther than the road ever could. He was broad-shouldered, gray beginning to thread his dark beard, and known for a code that few understood and even fewer believed in. To outsiders, Marcus was a brute who lived for chaos. To those inside, he was a leader who remembered names, paid debts, and never forgot a slight. He noticed everything, even Emily's quiet consistency, though he never said so. She was simply part of the place, like the cracked mirror behind the bar or the old motorcycle parts mounted on the walls. Emily never talked about her life beyond the bar. She worked 2 other jobs, lived in a one-room apartment with a leaking ceiling, and carried the weight of a past she refused to unload on anyone else. Her younger brother, Daniel Carter, had been the center of her world once, a reckless dreamer who loved speed and freedom more than caution. When he vanished years earlier, swallowed by the roads he adored, Emily learned to swallow her grief too. She told people he moved away, found work somewhere better. Lies were easier than pity. Time passed in the bar like a slow-burning fuse. Fights broke out and burned themselves down. Men came and went. Emily aged in small, quiet ways, lines deepening around her eyes, hope becoming something she rationed carefully. Marcus watched from a distance as she endured nights when the bar felt heavier than usual, when the air seemed to press down on her shoulders. He never asked questions, because questions in that world often led to answers no one was ready to hear. The locker room behind the bar was a forgotten space, filled with old jackets, helmets, and memories that no longer fit their owners. One night, after a long, bitter rainstorm, Marcus went back there looking for a spare chain. The lights flickered, casting shadows that stretched like ghosts across the walls. As he opened a locker that had been left ajar, something caught his eye, something that did not belong to the present. A leather jacket, worn and cracked, hung inside, its patches faded but unmistakable. The emblem on the back was from a small motorcycle club that had dissolved years ago, a club Marcus remembered too well that he froze because that jacket belonged to Daniel Carter. Marcus had known Daniel once, back when the roads were younger and mistakes felt lighter. Daniel had been fearless to the point of foolishness, loyal in a way that hurt, and dead far too soon after a job went wrong on a stretch of highway that still haunted Marcus's dreams. The jacket had been buried with him, or so Marcus had believed. Seeing it there, in that locker, was like being punched by a memory he had never fully faced. The realization hit him slowly, painfully. Emily, the quiet maid who cleaned up after men like him, was Daniel's sister. The woman he had watched fade into the background carried the blood of someone Marcus had failed to protect. Guilt rose in his chest, thick and suffocating. For the first time in years, Marcus felt the weight of every choice he had ever made press down on him all at once. From that night on, everything changed, though no one spoke of it. Marcus began to notice the way Emily flinched at the sound of motorcycles backfiring, how she lingered near the door when the bar got too loud, as if ready to run. He noticed the exhaustion etched into her movements, the quiet dignity with which she endured disrespect she never deserved. The bar, once a place of noise and recklessness, began to shift subtly. Fights were broken up sooner. Wages were raised. Rules were enforced more strictly, all without explanation. Emily sensed the change but did not understand it. She felt eyes on her more often, not predatory but watchful, protective even. It unsettled her more than the anger ever had. She feared being seen too clearly, feared the past she had buried would be dragged into the light. When Marcus finally acknowledged her existence beyond a nod, when he offered help she did not ask for, it stirred something fragile inside her. Hope, dangerous and unwanted, began to seep back in. The truth, when it came, was not delivered in words but in actions. Marcus arranged for Emily to take a few days off, paid, insisting she rest. He fixed the leak in her apartment without asking permission. He made sure no one at the bar crossed lines they once blurred freely. Each gesture was an apology spoken without sound, a confession written in care instead of regret. Emily eventually found the jacket missing from her locker and panicked, old wounds tearing open. She had kept it as the last piece of her brother, a silent promise that he was not forgotten. When Marcus returned it to her, clean and carefully folded, the look in his eyes told her he knew. The walls she had built cracked, and grief she had damned for years rushed through her. In that moment, the bar, the noise, the years of silence fell away, leaving two people bound by loss and guilt, standing on the edge of something like forgiveness. Healing did not come easily. Emily struggled with anger, with the unfairness of realizing the man responsible for the place that had swallowed so many pieces of her life had once ridden beside her brother. Marcus struggled with the urge to confess everything, to beg for absolution he did not deserve. What saved them both was time, patience, and the quiet understanding that redemption is not earned in grand gestures but in daily choices. The Hell's Angel bar slowly transformed, not into something gentle, but into something safer. It became a place where mistakes were acknowledged, where loyalty meant protection instead of destruction. Emily found her footing again, her work becoming a bridge instead of a burden. She enrolled in night classes, dared to imagine a future that did not revolve around survival alone. Marcus watched her grow, carrying the memory of Daniel like a compass instead of a curse. As years passed, the jacket remained folded away, no longer a symbol of loss but of connection. Emily learned that her brother's life, though short, had changed more than she ever knew. Marcus learned that strength was not measured by fear but by the courage to face the damage one had done and choose differently. If this story has reached something tender inside you, if it reminded you that even the hardest hearts can change and that kindness often hides in the most unexpected places, please take a moment to like, comment, and share this video. Your engagement helps stories of hope travel farther than despair ever could. Comment your thoughts and emotions below and let us know if this story reminded you of someone you love or a moment that changed your life. The night that once froze Marcus Hale in place became the beginning of a quieter legacy, one built not on fear or fury, but on the fragile, powerful truth that second chances are real, and sometimes they arrive wearing the face of someone who never stopped believing in you.